Hey everyone, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. You guys buckle in. I have a tale to tell you today. That was a lot of alliteration. When it comes to Christine Brown's genealogical family tree, it is a wild tale. And we are going to talk about today how her great uncle was a serial killer. May I just first start out by saying, you guys, that I've been receiving a lot of DMs. I've received a couple emails, messages on Facebook with topics that you guys would like me to talk about, and I'm going to try to get to them all in a timely fashion. This was one that I was messaged, and I was like, yeah. The true crime aficionado in me could not let this go by. We have to talk about this wild family tree of Christine's. So as most of you know, if you watch this channel, if you watch Sister Wives, if you are in any of the like Fundy Snark community, you know that Christine Brown hails from polygamous royalty. But what you may not know is that her mother and her father actually come from rival polygamous groups. Christine Ruth Allred was born April 18th, 1972 to Rex Allred and Ruth Ann LeBaron. And keep those surnames at the top of your mind because the surnames are very important here. I will, of course, cite all my sources. I got a lot of information from, of course, Wikipedia. There is a Sister Wives Wiki fandom website that I also got information from. So all of that I will list in the description of this video. So Christine's grandfather was Rulon Allred. This was the grandfather on her father's side. He was actually the founder of the Apostolic United Brethren, or the AUB, which is the polygamous sect that the Brown family belongs to. It's what Cody's father converted to while Cody was on his mission, where Cody later joined the church when he was 21, I believe. So Christine's grandfather started all of that. She speaks well of her childhood as an adult. You can tell on the show, she really looks back on her childhood fondly. She always was a big champion that polygamy is a great way to raise kids, which, you know, we could debate that, but she said that it was a great way for her to grow up. She claims her parents were the perfect polygamist example and that they never fought. Now, it is an important, aside to note that her parents would later divorce. We saw her mom was on the show in a few episodes. She actually came to live with Christine for a period of time, and her mom and her aunt would later come out and speak very actively against polygamy. So we have the Allred family. This is Christine's father's side. Christine Rex Allred descends from polygamy royalty, directly descends. So they are held in very high reverence within the AUB. Now here comes the LeBaron family. The LeBaron family operated their own polygamous sect in Mexico, and Joel LeBaron was their leader, their prophet. Ervil was his brother. Ervil LeBaron is Christine Brown's maternal great uncle. Ervil was actually given the moniker the Mormon Manson because his killings were actually carried out at the hands of his wives, children, and followers, much like Manson's killings were carried out by his devotees. Ervil's first kill was actually his brother Joel in 1974, because you gotta take out the head honcho if you want to ascend to the throne. This is very Game of Thronesy. Ervil was tried and convicted in Mexico for Joel's murder. His conviction was actually overturned on a technicality, and some have alleged that this was the result of a bribe. Essentially, what you will see here, the theme with Ervil LeBaron is this quest for dominance, this quest for power, this quest to be the ultimate dictator of the word of God to his followers. And that meant taking out rival polygamous leaders. In 1975, he ordered the killing of a rival leader, Bob Simmons. This was a polygamous leader who they ministered to a lot of the Native American community. In 1977, this is where the LeBarons and the Allreds come head to head. In 1977, LeBaron ordered the killing of Christine's paternal grandfather, Rulon, the leader of the AUB. Ervil LeBaron's 13th wife, Rena Chenoweth, actually carried out the murder of Rulon Allred with Ervil's stepdaughter, Ramona Marston. Chenoweth was tried and acquitted for Allred's murder, but she did confess later in a memoir called The Blood Covenant, which came out in 1990. In her book, she also described her time in LeBaron's group. She characterized it as him using mind control and fear to control his followers, and of course, that is a very common practice with cult leaders. Ervil didn't stop at rival polygamous sex. We saw his first ordered kill was his own brother, so it shouldn't surprise you that he actually ordered the killings of some of his own family members and supporters. His 10th wife, Vonda White, was convicted and sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Dean Grover Vest. He was one of Ervil's henchmen, and this henchman had attempted to leave the church. So if you try to defect, you're going on a hit list, like literally. I will link the Wikipedia page, of course, down below. There is like so many killings that he ordered before he even got into prison, which is when he did the bulk of his just killing spree, or the ordering of a killing spree, if you will. So on June 1st, 1979, Ervil was actually apprehended by police in Mexico and extradited to the United States, where he was convicted of ordering the murder of Rulon Allred. In 1980, he was sentenced to life in prison and served the remainder of his life in the Utah State Prison in Draper, Utah. Now, this is interesting. So Ervil was sentenced to life in prison in 1980. He dies in 1981. So we have like maybe a little bit over a year that he spent in prison. While in prison, he actually wrote a 400-page Bible known as the Book of the New Covenant, which included a commandment to kill disobedient church members who were included in a hit list written by LeBaron. It is said that about 20 copies were printed and distributed, and LeBaron actually continued to control his group from behind bars, and this actually manifested in his ordering his followers to carry out at least 25 murders on his behalf. So like I said, Ervil died on August 16th, 1981 while serving his life sentence for the murder of Christine's paternal grandfather, Rulon Allred. And I have seen a couple videos that go into this topic, go into Ervil LeBaron in much greater detail. So if you want a more in-depth, deep dive video to get all the details of this, I will link those down below. This is such a fascinating, wild topic. And you know what's interesting to me, and one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this today in this video, is just you would think that with such a probably past dark family tree, that maybe you wouldn't go on national TV to tout how amazing polygamy is if you had those kinds of skeletons in your closet. That is something that really perplexes me about Christine. But I will say that this is not uncommon for these kinds of families to go on national TV, especially TLC, with these kinds of skeletons in their closet. I mean, hello, look at the Duggars. So anyways, you guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. Make sure you email me if you have a topic that you would like to see discussed. I'm available on Instagram in my DMs as well. I'm just really appreciating you guys saying, hey, take a look at this. Like, you should talk about this. I'm so appreciating it. So keep the messages coming. All right, you guys, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Reality Squad, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one. Much love.